Good morning, Dimuth.
Good morning.
Yeah. Now today, on behalf of the Good Sport, we will be talking about the current status of rowing and how it is perched and the plans that we have for the development of the game. Now, Dimuth, can you tell me? Uh, Now, you all have taken office. Quite lately.
Yes,
Yeah.
August 2020.
Yeah.
But
So
before that, of course, I was the secretary. But
Yeah. So now you must be having some in-depth knowledge because you have been the secretary also. But can you tell me the current situation, status of uh, the sport?
yes, most certainly. Right now, of course, rowing basically is a Colombo district-centric sport, unfortunately. But of course, we have very specific plans now to take it to the outstations, because any sport, I think, not just rowing, any sport has to harness this talent from the outstations. I do believe sports like cricket or soccer or even now tennis has done a fantastic job in that respect. So we need to go out there, and we have set out a very specific plan since the last 3 months, where we need to take the sport. And I think the Honorable Minister of Sports has sort of told us to start. There is a place in Anuradhapura next to the lake. So we have been able to secure the boats for that place. So it's just a matter of months before we get that place going, and the children around those areas can start the sport very soon. We can keep a coach who's a qualified coach from the armed forces there. So in that strategy, I think our Vice President, Captain Vijay Sri, Chaminda Vijay Sri is in charge of that project. So that's one aspect. The other aspect of, you asked me the status of the sport. So we have about 700 to 800 athletes in total doing this sport in the country. At the national level, the senior national level, is mostly the universities and the armed forces that get into the national pool. We will hopefully this year, we have set a specific strategy for the Asian Games. Quite a expensive strategy, but
Yeah.
sophisticated strategy. So we hope to go there, and we'll be having our nationals early March, 11th, 12th, and 13th, with all the difficulties. And we hope to win a medal at the Asian Games. We are very, very confident. We are very. You can ask me the details later, of course. If you look at the sport, development of the sport, yes, there has been a development over the last few years. We were in a position where we were the unheard of in the Asian rowing circuit. From there, we have come to a great distance. In 2017, when we went to the Asian Rowing Championship, 3 of our boats came into what is known as the A final. In rowing, we have A final, B final, C final, D final. We were always in the D final, but in 2017, we came to the A final. So that was a significant achievement. 3 boats, not one. And then in 2019, at the Asia Cup, our girls, quadruple scull, what we call a quadruple scull, won the silver medal and the bronze medal. First time in the history of rowing at Asian level, not South Asian level, and I emphasize that. Asian level, we won a silver medal and a bronze level at the Asia Cup. So it was a significant achievement. Of course, after 2019, 2020, we couldn't do anything because of the COVID situation.
Yeah. Now, how do you see the locally the structure is how many clubs and
Yeah,
how many facilities do you all have?
we actually have 7 rowing facilities at the moment. Like I said, they are all Colombo-centric facilities. We have 3 clubs. That is the Colombo Rowing Club, Bolgoda Lake Rowing Club, and they have their own rowing facilities. And then we have the Diyavanna Rowing Center, which is the National Rowing Center, and it has a DRA, another branch which also functions like a club. And the Para Rowing Center is also there. So those three facilities are there, like clubs as well as the national center. And then Sri Lanka Army and Sri Lanka Navy also has their rowing facility on that same waters of Diyavanna. St. Joseph's have their own pier at Bear Lake, and Moratuwa has their facility at Bolwater. So we basically have about 7 rowing facilities in the country, but all Colombo centric. So we need to take this out. Definitely, we are determined to take it out within the next 2 years.
So schools, how many schools are involved?
We have 13 schools
Yeah.
doing the sport as of now.
Yeah.
13 schools, 3 clubs, 3 armed forces, and 3
Yeah.
universities.
So now from here, now this is a very, very expensive game. So
Yes.
how do you propose to sustain all this and move forward?
Your very, very good question. You know, this sport, the inhibition for the expansion of this sport has been the cost of boats. I would say a boat can cost anything between 1.5 million rupees to about 4 million rupees. So it is very difficult for an outstation school or somebody to import boats, because these are carbon fiber boats and mostly manufactured in China. They virtually have a monopoly on this. So not only in Sri Lanka, I mean all poor countries have this problem for the growth of this sport. My team also recognized this issue, our team, and we have been quite lucky, I would say. We found a company. You see, okay, let me go back a little bit, sorry. Most of the boat manufacturing done in South Asia is fiberglass based, which is understandable because it's for the fisheries industry, because that's the market, right? But fiberglass is too heavy for racing. This is pure racing, right? So for us, fiberglass is out of the question. It's out of the window. We have tried it. Boats are too heavy, right? We need carbon fiber boats, which is a very sophisticated, difficult technology. That's why not only in Sri Lanka, even India doesn't have boat manufacturing or rowing boat manufacturing, proper rowing. They have one manufacturer, Sunny, but again, it's fiberglass. So if a country like India doesn't have, then what are we talking about? What I'm happy to say today, we have found a company in Sri Lanka who has that technology, and now we are working with them. If we succeed in our project, we can bring down the cost by about 1/3, which will be enormous impetus for us to take this to the outstation, to those poor children out there, so that we can harness that talent. I hope we succeed. But and then this project of taking this to the outstations will be a dream come true for us.
Yeah. Now at the same time, now our rowing, as against the Asian standards, now we are in stature we are small,
Yes.
and in strength, I mean, it's questionable.
Right.
And how do you propose that we, now you say that you're confident of achieving Asian standards in a regular basis. So how do you?
Yes, now that is multifaceted. You know, we can't achieve these things overnight. Like I said, we have a very sophisticated strategy for the Asian Games to win a medal. That is over a 2-year period. The reason why I say this is we have a set of senior athletes who have some international exposure. That is very important in any sport. And we are going to train them where we need proper strength training facilities and proper nutrition. These two are very important. So sorry to be very blunt, but rice packet sports have to go out of the window.
Yes.
Right? We need proper nutrition. These guys need about 6,000 to 8,000 calories sometimes for a day. When the training goes right up there, 6,000 at least. So they will need at least 6 meals for a day, you know, to sustain their training, and that we have to give them. So my national pool is mostly armed forces. They are very poor. They come from very poor rural areas. So we have to sustain them. You know, some of these sports schools sports have 20 million budgets, whereas our national program has only not even 1 million. So sometimes they have to pocket out their nutrition. So which means they are not getting the proper nutrition. So you very correctly asked me, where does the strength Where does the nutrition come from? We have to give it to them. We have to find that money. Luckily, of course, this time I think the Honorable Minister of Sports has seen our strategy, agreed that this is a necessity, and he has agreed to come, and the high performance committees that have been put in place recognizes these things. So I hope they will come up with these things. But in the long term, yes, very good question that you asked about the long term, about the height, because height plays a very important role in the length of the stroke that you take. That we have to develop at the junior level, and I think the NOC has this strategy where they have a committee that is going to identify that kind of talent and develop that at school level. You see, for example, they are targeting the 2023 Youth Olympics. So if it is 2023 Youth Olympics, we are looking at a child of 13 years. Now, he has to be under 18, maybe at 2023.
Yeah.
So now that child, we have to see his growth, his height growth, his muscular structures. We have to analyze all that, now itself. So unfortunately, of course, we are closed now, the Western Province. We can't have the junior nationals, although we are having the senior nationals. So moment the schools open, moment the things start happening, we can have the junior nationals where we will identify these children and we will start the strategy for these programs that are now in place both at the NOC and the Ministry of Sports, where we identify these children for the future, maybe going next 4 years, maybe 8 years. That's
Now,
how you put up in place the strategy.
yeah, but foreign expertise, are you all
Oh
looking
yes,
at that?
thank you very much for asking that question. The minister, Honorable Minister of Sports, I asked him to give us a foreign coach for the last 6 months of our Asian Games training because of the cost involved. And he laughed at me, quite rightly so. He said there's nothing a foreign coach can do in 6 months. So he has very correctly agreed that he will give us a foreign coach for the entire training period of the strategy of 1.5 to 2 years. And we are now in the process of speaking to our international federation to get applicants, where we will analyze and we will interview them and then probably give our recommendations to the Ministry of Sports. They will be the final decider, but we will only do the recommendations. Also, I think I have applied to the NOC for a solidarity program. I don't know whether it will come through or not, but we had a program in 2013 or 2014, my memory recollects correctly, where we brought down an Italian coach for the coaching development program. Thanks to that, we have about 21 FISA level 1 coaches and 7 FISA level 2 coaches, which did it had a tremendous impact on rowing. It brought our level of rowing to a significant level. So we want to get him involved now. More than that, we want to get him involved in coaching, in our national pool consultations, in para rowing development, and in the boat development, because we need that for the for the carbon fiber technology. We also need that foreign consultancy. So we are trying to get him involved in all 4 areas. That sort of encompasses the whole development program of rowing development in Sri Lanka. So we are looking at, so we have 2 areas of foreign consultancy now we are looking at.
So, how do you see the bigger picture of rowing in what is now from here within the next 5 years? How do you see this sport growing?
Yes.
What are the strategies that you all have adopted?
Okay.
At least hoping to adopt.
A very good question. If we succeed in what we have set out to do now, we are only 4 months, the committee. If we succeed in what we have, for the Asian Games, we win a medal. We take this to the outstations. We do our board building programs to take it to the outstation. We encompass that whole strategy. And if if we win a medal, I do believe we'll have so much more children taking into the sport in the outstations. Then the goalpost will change. And I think for me personally, it's all about the children. These children doing sports is so important in today's day and age of this phones and all these things. They are all stuck into that. You know, they must be encouraged to do sports. It's a physical necessity for children. So that's why my dream, my team's dream and ambition is to take these rowing to the outstations, to those poor children, not only to harness the talent, but also to give them an opportunity to do a sport. You know, it's very important that children get out of there. Now, it's a very good example, if I may digress a little bit. During this COVID period, when children were stuck inside the homes, without interaction, without playing in the school playground, it has a psychological effect on a child. Terrible psychological.
Yes.
You see, that's a psychological necessity for a child. Being a father, I know this. So I think all children should be encouraged to do sports. So all federations, I think, should look at, whoever is Colombo-centric like us, should look at taking the sport out there to all the children's benefit.
How have you coped with during this? Because exactly, how have you been coping during this COVID period, which is almost 1.5 years?
We haven't been able to do anything. But now we had to take difficult decisions. Now, for example, we are having our nationals on the 11th, 12th and 13th. We had to start. We had to start somewhere. So we will probably put them into air bubbles. We have about the 3 armed forces, the 3 universities plus the 2 clubs. So we'll put the teams somewhere in the 15th of February into the bubbles, and then they have the 2-week period before they come into this thing, and plus there will be a lot of restrictions. But unfortunately, we can't start the school rowing. The school's authorities themselves are scared for the children to come. Plus the schools are closed. So the schools, the junior nationals, what we call the junior nationals, is at a complete standstill because of the current situation, which is beyond our control.
So, which means March, the junior nationals may not be a reality.
No, it won't be a reality.
But now, once again,
because for a nationals, you have to train an athlete for more than 2 months.
To
peak.
Now, you were just explaining to me the other day about Indo rowing.
Yes.
Can you explain to the public about what this Indo rowing is all about?
Indo rowing is on an ergometer. We actually, of course, it's there in every gym that you see. The ergometer is a rowing machine. But however, we have an Indo rowing championship. That is to measure the athlete's lung capacity. There are many measurements that we have. If I may take a little bit of your time. That is to measure the athlete's lung capacity and all that. So once the athletes are selected into the national pool, we have this championship where we take the measurements to see the athlete's capability and where he should be slotted in. It's something like, where there are other machines internationally used in all sports like VO2 Max, Muscle Tog. Now these machines are unheard of in Sri Lanka. I have already told the Honorable Minister of Sports that we have to have these machines. Let me just give you a joke. When my national pool was being sent to the for fitness measurements here, they did the beep test. And the Honorable Minister laughed at me and he said, beep test is done for under 13 level, not for a national pool. That's the reality of our sports here today. We have to change. We have to do radical change to go there, not just rowing. All sports can utilize these facilities that probably are coming, and I hope it will come very soon.
But what happens is now when there are 72 sports in the country, and what is the time allocation that you get?
Very good question. Thank you for asking that question. My national pool, our national pool, used to go to the gym those days. In 2019, when we won the silver medal and the bronze medal at Asia Cup, at the same time they were having, I do believe it was the SAC Games in 2019. So all the national pools were coming at that time. my national pool is getting only 1 hour. 20 athletes, 1 hour to train in a week, you can't train. And that's grossly inadequate. Before you could put the weights on, you have to leave the place. And how many athletes can train in 1 hour?
Yeah, exactly. Now, especially rowing being a strength-bound sport, how are you all coping?
Actually, we haven't been able to cope. Let's be very honest about it. This is why we have made the appeals to all the relevant sports authorities. For this strategy, we need strength training equipment, not just at our rowing center at Diyavanna, but also at the ministry if they can. They have to expand their strength, not just for rowing, for other sports as well, strength training equipment. We are willing, if they now around Diyavanna, they are going to make a sports complex, like they are going to have archery and all these things, from what I understand. So we are willing to house the strength training part of it at our athletes use it, as well as those athletes can use it. So they don't have to travel to Colombo, and waste the time. Because those national sports are, I think even canoeing and kayaking is based there. So many other sports are based there. So they can all come and train, because we have fairly big facility. They can use the strength training equipment at Diyavanna. We have no objection. So, you can have a hub concept when it comes to common facilities. It's very important. Otherwise, we can never go up as a nation in sports, in my belief. My
So, finally, how do you propose to? How am I going to put it? How do you propose to? Now you said that our job next goal is the Commonwealth and the Asian Games.
Asian Games, not the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Asian Games, and to achieve that target, not Asian Championships, I mean Asian Games. What are your plans for that?
Yes, you see, we have a specific 2-year strategy. I hope you don't mind me saying this. The COVID-19 was a blessing in disguise. The reason I'm saying this is all the heavyweights, the giants in Asia like China, Japan, India, Korea, they also normally train for 2 years. Let me bring an example. In 2018, we went for the Asian, I'm sorry to be very blunt. 2018, we went for the Asian Games. We came last. Why? We trained for 1.5 months. The person who, in the same event, who won the gold medal was India. That team had trained for 4 years under a Romanian coach. Therein lies the difference. But this time, thanks to COVID, that's why I said COVID is a blessing in disguise. Everybody has this 2-year window to train. If we get our act right, if we get the resources right to the athletes, we have the same chance that China, Japan, but we have to do it right.
Yeah.
We have to get our act together. Then we are on a level playing field, I believe. But it involves a whole lot of resources. Countries like China or Japan or India, they've spent a whole lot of resources. Of course, we are a poor country. We can't do the level they do. But if we are smart, the key word is being smart.
Thinking smart.
Thinking smart and spending that money correctly. If we do that, yes, we can. There's nothing to say that we can't.
Yeah, thank you, Dimuth, and thank you for spending your
My
time.
pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.